Hi everybody, my name is Paul Garrard. I'm a consultant for the American Dental Education Association, ADEA, and I also do some work for explorehealthcareers.org. Thank you very much for joining us for this short presentation on loan repayment and forgiveness programs and how they can impact your access to not only a health sciences degree, but how they can impact your repayment strategy if you have to borrow student loans. One of the first things to note is the actual difference between what's called a loan repayment program and a loan forgiveness program. A loan repayment program is one where an organization like the National Health Service Corps, the Indian Health Service, the military, and also some state and community-based hospitals will actually pay you financial support in exchange for a service commitment. They're not forgiving your debt because they did not make you the loan. They are simply providing you financial support to help pay off your student loans in exchange for a service commitment. That's different from a loan forgiveness program. A loan forgiveness program comes from the federal government who will forgive a portion of the balance of your loans as long as you meet certain conditions or certain eligibility requirements. One of the programs that's of great interest to a lot of health sciences students is the new Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program that forgives a portion of your debt after a window period of 10 years. It's really 120 payments as long as you are working during that period of time in a public service position. Public service loan forgiveness is actually designed to encourage borrowers to enter public service by forgiving a portion of their debt, and it's for any borrower, any discipline, any degree program. And the eligibility requirements are that you make 120 timely eligible payments. There's the 10-year window you may hear about. 120 timely eligible payments on eligible loans, meaning loans made directly from the federal government, direct loans, while you're working for an eligible public service employer. And so once again, the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program offers borrowers a chance to get some help with their student loans in exchange for working in a nonprofit or public service position. Now, there are two other programs to be aware of. One is tied to what's called income-based repayment, and I'm going to stay out of the weeds on this. There are a lot of places that you can get information on IBR. You see the website there, studentloans.gov. But simply remember this, IBR is just a repayment program that's designed for borrowers with high debt and low to moderate income. It gives those responsible borrowers a way to repay their debt tied to a portion of their income. Under income-based repayment, if a borrower's debt is so high and their income stays relatively low, and they continue to renew eligibility for IBR every year, and they, in essence, never really catch up, and they don't get the balance paid after a 25-year period of time, the government will forgive the debt. They basically say that's enough. Right now, in this program, the current tax law says that the amount forgiven under the IBR program after 25 years is subject to tax. Notice that this program has nothing to do with public service. This is simply for any borrower paying under IBR who, in essence, again, never catches up after 25 years. There's a new version of income-based repayment called Pay As You Earn, or PAY, which operates very similarly to income-based repayment, but the forgiveness is after 20 years, once again, assuming the borrower never catches up in that window period of time. You can get more information on all the forgiveness programs, including public service loan forgiveness, at studentloans.gov. Just look for the tab under Managing Repayment. Anytime you are considering help through a loan repayment program or a forgiveness program, be sure to ask about the tax considerations. In other words, is the amount that's going to be forgiven going to be taxable income? Do I have to claim that on my tax return? The answer is no in the Public Service Loan Forgiveness Program. Currently, the answer is yes under the 25-year IBR or 20-year Pay-As-You-Earn forgiveness program. For a loan repayment program, whether you're receiving support from the National Health Service Corps, the Indian Health Service, the military, or perhaps a state or a community-based hospital, ask, in fact, if you are going to have to claim that income they send you to pay down your student loans on your tax return, and if you do, are they going to provide any support for you? Always check about application deadlines and eligibility requirements. There's no point in you going through the application process if you're someone who is just not going to be eligible based on the criteria. So do your homework there and find out the application deadlines and the eligibility requirements. And certainly check about the contractual obligations. How long is your service commitment in order to receive these funds? And one of the questions you're going to have in some of these programs, you may have, depending on what your budget looks like, is should you at some point aggressively go after your loans? There's a theory in forgiveness programs that says if I'm in a program where the government is going to eventually forgive my debt, do I really want to ever aggressively pay the debt down? Would I not be paying down the forgiveness amount? You need to evaluate that very, very carefully, and part of this comes down to how much control do you want on the repayment of your student loans, or are you going to be leaning on the federal government to help you out with a forgiveness program? So a quick summary: never borrow more than you need. You're going to see that time and again, and you're probably going to hear that in most any video that we have on explorehelpcareers.org. Never borrow more money than you actually need. You need to plan on paying back what you borrow. We simply are showing you this on forgiveness and repayment programs to let you know that you may be able to get some help that way. Responsible borrowing includes educating yourself on these options. And again, you can go to the studentloans.gov site for help, a really good site to give you some information on repayment programs. Questions and comments, we always welcome them on the explorehelpcareers.org blog, so we would encourage you to let us know what you think about these articles and also this presentation.